Most brokers I talk to have the same problem. They're constantly chasing new leads, spending money on ads and buying from aggregators and hunting for referrals. And meanwhile, sitting in their CRM, there are hundreds and sometimes thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of leads they already paid for. People who raised their hand, filled out a form, and maybe even took a call, and then went quiet. The broker moved on. There's always a new lead to chase, right? And the old ones just sat there. And here's what nobody tells you. Those leads are not dead. People's financial situations change every 3 to 18 months. Rates move, incomes change. A refinance that wasn't viable 18 months ago might be viable right now. Someone who said not yet back then might be very ready today. And in this video, I will show you exactly how you can build an AI voice agent system that automatically goes through your old database and calls each contact, has a real qualifying conversation, and books the ones worth your time directly onto your calendar. No manual outreach, no hiring a follow-up person, and no cold calls from your team. Here's how we're going to do it. First, I will walk you through the problem, why this works specifically for finance and mortgage brokers, also like asset brokers, and the stats that make this a no-brainer. And then a step-by-step tutorial on how to build the entire system using Vapi, N8N, and GoHighLevel. No code required at all. Let's go. First, let me give you a number. The average Australian mortgage is around $649,000. At a 0.65% upfront commission, that's roughly $4,500 before your aggregators cut. After, you're netting somewhere between $2,800 and $3,800 per settled loan. Now think about how many of those leads are currently sitting in your CRM right now. The problem isn't necessarily that those leads are bad. The problem is that most brokers don't really have a systematic way to go back and re-engage them in a meaningful way. Manually calling a list of 2,000 people is not something anyone does while actually running a business, because it just falls through the cracks every single time. And here's what makes it worse. The window where somebody becomes ready again is unpredictable. You can't schedule it. You don't know when a rate drops, a job change, or a life event makes the last year's not interested turn into a actually let's talk. You just have to be there when that happens. And that's exactly what a database reactivation system does. It runs continuously in the background and surfaces the people whose situations have changed. So you're there at exactly the right moment without lifting a finger. And here's the mechanism. You take your old lead list, everyone in your CRM you've paid for, and stop chasing. You clean it, you remove DNC contacts, segment out the obvious dead weight. Then you start with a test batch of around 100 contacts to validate pickup rate and script quality. An AI voice agent then calls each contact. It introduces itself as calling on behalf of your brokerage, checks in on where they are at with their finance goals, and asks a few qualifying questions. And those are specific to your business, obviously. And if they meet your criteria, and only if they actually do, it books them straight into your calendar. And then roughly every 90 days, it runs again. Because someone who wasn't ready in January might be ready in April. Non-pickups get an automated SMS follow-up, no responses get an email, and the system doesn't stop until there's a clear yes or a clear no. And then roughly every 90 days, it runs again. Because someone who wasn't ready in January might be ready in April. Real quick, this is exactly what my agency Eximus.io builds for finance, mortgage, and asset brokers. And right now, I'm specifically looking for 2 or 3 more brokers who want this entire system built and run for them completely free to start. There's no setup fee, no retainer. You only pay per qualified appointment that actually shows up on your calendar. 0 appointments means you pay nothing. The only cost up front is a small tech wallet to cover like actual call infrastructure. You can think of it like your phone bill, which is fully transparent and you can see every cent. I'm in a controlled pilot phase at the moment in which I need real case studies from the Australian broker market, and my incentive is the same as yours. I only get paid when your calendar fills up. If you've got an old database of leads sitting in your CRM, this is genuinely the best and lowest risk way to find out what's hiding in there. Link is in the description. I think it's the first link. And I'll reach personally out and we'll check if your database is a fit. 2 or 3 spots are left, so if this video is a few weeks old, check if they are still open. Before we build it, let me give you a few numbers so you understand why this is worth doing. Reactivating dormant leads costs 5 to 10 times less than acquiring new ones. They convert at 4 to 5 times the rate of cold traffic because they already know you. They already opted in and you are not starting from zero. And the AI handles the part no broker wants to do. The grind of actually calling through a 1,500 person list until you find the 30 who are ready right now. Conservatively, if you book 10 qualified appointments from a reactivation run and you close only 2 of them, that's roughly $7,600 in commission on a standard loan before trail. And this gives you at minimum a 3x return on investment on your database you already paid for. And now let's build it. There are 3 tools you need for this. First, we are talking about Vapi, the voice AI, then N8N for the automation logic, and GoHighLevel for your CRM and calendar. Let me walk you through each one. This is Vapi.ai. You can see voice AI agents for developers, but don't worry, you don't need to be a developer. This is extremely easy. It's similar to just using ChatGPT the way we handle it today. You will just have to create an account, connect your billing information, and then you're good to go. The second platform is N8N. N8N is the automation layer of this project. And you have 2 options here. You can either just get started for free, have a 14-day trial, and host everything with N8N, which is definitely recommended. I think this will run you like about $25 a month. Or you can go ahead and host this yourself on your own server, which makes this extremely cheap because you don't have to pay N8N itself because they are actually open source. The setup for that is a bit more complicated. I have a video done on that, so if you want to watch this and set it up yourself, check the video out, which is somewhere on the screen right now. But for most of you guys, just hosting this with N8N with Get Started here is the easiest option. And then the third is the CRM GoHighLevel. This is basically an all-in-one platform for marketing for the ones who don't know that. It's just very versatile. We can do websites, funnels, automations, pipelines, basically everything in there. That's why I use it quite frequently, and it's really good, especially for this use case. And again, we don't need anything to code here. We are just using the graphical user interface. So whatever you're using anyways, and let's get into the build. Before we actually configure the different setups, we actually need to prepare the list. So what you need to do first is export your old list from whatever CRM you're using. You want a CSV with at minimum first name, phone number, last contact date, and any notes on previous interactions and where they were in the process. And that's what I have right here. I have just a demo CSV with artificially generated data, which I will use to show this to you guys. Before you do anything else, just clean the list. Remove duplicates, pull out any DNC registered numbers, and you can check this against the ACMA register in Australia. Flag anyone who explicitly asked not to be contacted. Remove contacts you've closed in the last 6 months, and what you're left with is your reactivation pool. Start small. Your first run should be 100 contacts. This lets you validate pickup rate, check how the agent sounds, and tweak the script before you go wide. Next up, we have Vapi. Vapi is again the voice AI layer for our application here. We want to start in the composer. This is basically ChatGPT within Vapi, which lets us just build things and improve things with natural language. So we just prompt in here and Vapi will build the stuff for us. Now, obviously you could go in and just build the assistant yourself with like create a new assistant, choose a blank template, and then configure everything in here yourself. If you want to do this, this is fine. I recently uploaded a video you can see on screen right now that goes exactly through all the settings you need to know, but we want to make it easy today, so we just use this. And you don't even need to, figure out a prompt yourself. What you will do is you will just go to my resource hub, the Voice AI Accelerator with the link in the description below, search for the broker BDR agent, and then go to Vapi Voice AI configuration. This is where I have 2 prompts basically. We will use the first one right now. You just expand this, copy it, go back to Vapi, paste it here, and you will give your assistant a name. I will call the assistant Mia, and then you will replace this with your business name. The rest of the prompt is she's calling on behalf of Best Brokerage, just imaginary broker, and is a database reactivation assistant. She calls leads that haven't had contact with Best Brokerage in more than 3 months to reassess their current situation and book an appointment with a human mortgage broker. The model should be 4.0 mini and should use a custom Cartesia voice with the following voice ID. So you can get a lot more specific in the application here if you want to. However, I've noticed that like the V0 here is very good, but obviously this is something we need to continuously adjust. The model I'm using here is GPT-4o Mini, just because that's a good balance between speed and intelligence, and we want to have a voice which sounds good. And we use our Cartesia voice for this. Cartesia is just a business like OpenAI that creates those voices. And I want to have this voice specifically. You can search yours by going to the voice library and just listening to a few voices that you think are good. And then that's it. We will just hit enter and then wait for the composer to finish. In that time, something you will need to do in order to actually have the assistant on the phone is you need to create a phone number. If you are in the US, lucky you can just use a free Vapi number. However, if you are outside of the US, you need to either use one from Twilio, Vonage, Telnix, or bring your own SIP trunk. The easiest way here is just use Twilio, because then you will just input the phone number here, connect your account with the Twilio account SID, the Twilio auth token, which you both find directly on the Twilio dashboard, give your phone number a name, and then import it to Twilio. I already have my phone number here, so I'm good. And now when we go back to the composer, we can see that the assistant was successfully created. So let's just quickly check this. Mia is actually there. We use the model GPT-4 mini cluster. This is the system prompt, which we have right here. Quick note on this, the system prompt is nothing you just write once and then forget. The system prompt needs to continuously be improved. That's also why we run a test batch of around 100 contacts first, because with that we can evaluate how good the system prompt is, where there are things we need to improve, and then to actually go in and just naturally in natural language write what we want to improve so the agent does it better in the future. So just keep that in mind. And for the voice configuration, we have Cartesia with Tessa. This is the correct voice. So what we're going to do is we hit publish, next publishing, and then the assistant is created. The next step is to go into your N8N account and create a new workflow. For this, just again, hit create new workflow, big orange button, can't miss it. And now you could go ahead and just click add first step, choose trigger, and then pull all the nodes you want onto the canvas. But I've made it very easy for you. Again, you just need to go to my resource hub, but this time you will navigate to N8N workflow template, expand this, and then expand this again, and then you will see this JSON here. You don't have to know what JSON is. You don't need to worry about what it does. Just go back to your N8N workflow and paste the JSON in here. And that's everything you need to do. Now, what this does is it connects our GoHighLevel, the CRM, and the calendar with Vapi. So if the user requests a calendar slot to the assistant needs some sort of way to actually check the calendar availability. And this is what we do here, because the Vapi assistant then sends the request to N8N. N8N looks into the calendar and returns the request back to the Vapi assistant. Now, in order to actually make this work, we need to authenticate our GoHighLevel account against our request here. This is extremely easy though, maybe sounds complicated, but we have 3 nodes which we need to change, the prep variable nodes 1, 2, and 3. And if I click into one here, you can see that this is your calendar ID, your location ID, and then your GoHighLevel API key. These are like the only 3 things you need to change. You don't even need to change the location ID in the first and in the last node, but where you get these data points is something we will discuss in the next step. For now, what you will do is you will go into the very first node here, the start node, click into this, and go to production URL and click on it to copy it. This is important because at this point in time, the assistant in Vapi exists, but it has no way to reach N8N. And in order to do this, we need to create tools. And these tools need a URL to basically send their request to, and this is what this webhook URL is. So we copied this, and you already know what's coming. You need to go back to my resource hub and expand this tool calls prompt and copy that as well. And with both of these things equipped, we go back to the composer, open this up, and paste the prompt in here. Now if you scroll up, you can see that your N8N webhook URL is not filled in, so you will paste your URL you just copied from N8N into here, just like this, and then hit enter. And now we just need to wait until the 3 tools are created. Let me just wait. So as we can see, the composer already created the 3 tools. You can see post/tool as a request response. They are green, so they worked. And now it needs our approval to update the system prompt of the assistant, and we just hit approve here. And if we do this, then the request will go through too. And if we go back to the assistant, we can double check this by clicking tools. And if we have check calendar N8N, check slot N8N, and book calendar N8N here, everything worked just fine. And now's the time when we hop into GoHighLevel and connect everything together. This is the dashboard, what you will see, and you need to create a calendar first. For this, go to calendars, and then you can connect your calendar, go to calendar settings to create a new one. You can set this up yourself. It's not too complicated, but what you need to do is you need to copy the ID of your calendar down here. The next thing you will do is you will go to private integration tokens and create a new integration token. I already have a BDR demo token here, but you can go to create new integration. You will give it a name, you will click next, and then you can select the scopes. You can either give it full scope access, but you need to be very careful with this, because if anyone gets their hands on this API key, they can do anything with your account. So maybe don't even do this. This is just for demo purposes, and then you hit create. You can confirm, and then you have your new private integration token. And the last thing you need to grab is your location ID. For this, go to My Business Profile, and at the top you will find your location ID. Click on this to copy it too. And now you've already thought about it. We need to go back to N8N and connect everything up. So in the first prep variables node, go in, delete this text, and input your calendar ID. Also delete this text and input your API key. Obviously, I can't show the API key to you because it's secret, but trust me, I will fill this in and then hop into the next node. Now, the same is true for the prep variables too. You will remove this, you will remove this, and you will remove this, and then input your location ID, and then input your calendar ID, and then input your API key here, and then you're good. And obviously, the same is true for the last node. Go in here, delete this, and delete this, and input your calendar ID here, and then your authorization key here. And now, since everything's connected up, what you will do is you can give this a name, doesn't really matter, and hit publish. And now we almost have everything that we need. We need 2 more things. Number 1, we need to import our contacts into this GoHighLevel account. And number 2, we need a workflow that triggers every 90 days and calls all the contacts that we want to reactivate. To upload contacts, you will obviously go to contacts, click import, then you will, leave this with contacts, click next, you can select your list. This is my demo sheet I showed you before, and then you will hit create contacts, click next, and then you need to map the columns to the actual fields you have in GoHighLevel, because it won't recognize all of them. For example, the suburb here is kind of like just the city, so you need to select this. The status is, let's see, the status is contact status, and the loan amount is obviously also good information we want to have, or we ideally have, and this is here. And if all the fields are green, just double check that you have mapped it correctly and then hit next. Something you might want to do before doing this is actually go into your settings and create a custom tag that you can tag the contacts with that you want to have processed by this database reactivation engine. You don't have to do this. I normally do this just for transparency reasons. And if you did create a tag, then you can hit this button and then select a tag. In my case, this is DBR active, so database reactivation is active. Then you just need to confirm down here and then start bulk import. I already imported this list to my account, so I won't do this again, but after this, all the contacts will just upload and then be in your account. When that is done, you will go to automation and create a new automation inside of GoHighLevel. This is the workflow. I call it DBR caller. You can call it whatever you want, to be honest. The trigger is a scheduled trigger with a daily interval with a time of 8:30. This is just so it triggers every day. And the idea behind the workflow is we trigger it every day, and every day it pulls all the contacts into the workflow. It then checks if the tag that I added to the contact while importing is on the contact, because if, for example, the contact wanted to opt out, we can remove the tag, and therefore if the contact is pulled in but the tag is not on the contact, we will not proceed with calling the contact. So we check if the contact tag is applied to the contact, and then we check when the contact has been last contacted. If this is greater than 90 days, so the last contact is 90 days ago or more, we want to call this lead, and if not, then we don't. So the setup goes like this. You can ignore this note here. This is just for internal purposes. The first thing here is find contact. We basically query all contacts for contacts where the contact source is CSV import. So when you have your CSV file, in which you have all the contacts you imported, what you want to do is you want to add one column with the title of, I don't know, like contact source or source, whatever, and then put something in there which identifies that the contact is from your CRM and it's for the DBR campaign. In my case here, I just put CSV import into this. Again, this can vary for whatever value put in there, and then just drag it down to all the contacts. So this tag is applied to all contacts, and then you save the action. And then if we found contacts, we go to this here. This is a condition, and this condition checks if the contact has the tag which includes the DBR active. This is the tag for me that suggests that I can actually proceed with calling that lead. And if the tag is not applied, nothing will happen. And if the tag is applied, then we will continue. Next is a little code node. You also don't need to understand what this means. I have the code also in the resource hub, which you will find in the Notion database. But what it essentially does is it takes the last contact date from what you guys imported, and it compares it to today's date minus 90 days. And whichever date is greater, that's the evaluation if we call the lead or if we don't. The output from here is either true or false. True is if we can proceed with calling the lead, and false is if we can't. So if we have put in the code here, and if we have put in the last contact date as the last contact date, so this is your custom field you created earlier, you just hit save action. Next up, we just have then the condition which evaluates if it's true or false. So this is the condition. We basically have the result of the code. So I will just show you how I got here. So you just hit select, you go down to custom code, you go down this, and this, and then you select is true. And this means that when a contact goes through and the result from the evaluation that it's greater than 90 days is true, then we can call them. And if not, we don't call them yet. Hit save action. And then the next step is a drip, which is 1 minute. The drip is important because Vapi has a native concurrency limit of 10. So if we find, 100 contacts we want to call and we throw them into Vapi all at once, it won't work because we can call max 10 at once. So what we do is we drip one after another into the system with a 1 minute split so that we don't really hit the concurrency limit. Because normally you have a certain percentage you don't even reach, you don't call, which don't answer the phone, and then conversations normally don't take 10 minutes. So with this, we are on the safe side, and we will probably not hit the concurrency limit, and we can be quite confident that the system won't break. And then the last node is the actual node which makes the call to Vapi. The event is a custom webhook. We have the method of post, and we will post this message to this URL. This is api.vapiai/call. The authorization here is a bearer token. You don't need to know what this is, just accept that it is. And then we have the token. So this is basically the authentication of your Vapi account against GoHighLevel. This allows GoHighLevel to access your Vapi account, get the assistant, and make the call on behalf of you. In order to get this API key, you have to go back to Vapi. Back in Vapi, you will go to API keys and then just copy this, go back, click this drop down here, create new key, give it a name, paste the key here, and then hit create. I, again, already did this, so I just select mine. And then down here, we have the JSON body. This probably also looks quite complicated to you. Again, you don't need to know what this means. You just need to know two things: the phone number ID, which is different for you, and the assistant ID, which is different for you. These two information bits basically tell Vapi which assistant we want to use in order to call and which phone number we want to use to do this. And to get those two infos, you again go back to Vapi, to your phone number, and you copy the phone number ID from the phone number you bought earlier, go back and paste it here. And then you go back to Vapi, to assistants, to the assistant you just created, copy the assistant ID, go back, and then paste the assistant ID right here. If you're wondering what all these things in the curly braces mean, these are variables. These are basically the specific information on the contact. And down here, we are basically passing all the information we know about the contact to the Vapi assistant. So the Vapi assistant has context on, for example, the conversation history, on everything we want the assistant to know. So this is fairly important. Make sure you have mapped this correct. And if you are fairly certain that you have, then you just click Save Action, and then you're good to go. And now, since the workflow is finally done, we can test it out. First, we need to create a test contact with all your contact details, and then hit Test Workflow, search for your contact, and then go ahead and run the test. When you do so, you should receive a call to your mobile phone within a few seconds. Let's just wait and see what happens. And there is the call.
Hi, is this Tim?
Yeah, this is Tim. How can I help you?
Hi, Tim. I'm calling from Best Brokerage checking in since it's been a little while since we last connected about your mortgage refinance. Are you still looking to refinance your home?
No, actually, I'm looking to buy.
Thanks for letting me know, Tim. Do you have a timeline in mind for when you'd like to buy?
Ideally within the next, I don't know, like 2 months, and with a budget of around, say, 900K.
Great. Buying within 2 months for around 900K. Are you planning to buy in Munich or somewhere else? Also, are you currently employed or self-employed with any major changes since we last spoke?
Yeah, so I am looking to buy in the Brisbane area, and I am employed with like no major changes. I've gotten a raise since last time, I think, but like that's it.
That's great to hear about the raise. It sounds like you're in a good position to move forward. Would you like to schedule a time to speak with one of our mortgage brokers to discuss your options further?
Yes, please.
Can you please confirm your time zone for scheduling?
Yeah, I'm Brisbane time.
This will just take a sec. We have a slot available on March 25th at 5 p.m. Brisbane time. Would that work for you?
That slot is perfect, yes.
Can I please confirm your full name, phone number, and email before I book this slot?
Sure, the data you have is correct. Just confirm and go ahead.
Give me a moment. Thank you, Tim. Your appointment with our mortgage broker is confirmed for March 25th at 5 p.m. Brisbane time. They will reach out to you then to discuss your home buying plans, I appreciate your time today and wish you the best with your search.
Thank you. Have a good day. Cheers. Now, as you can see, the call didn't even last 2.5 minutes. Obviously, this was straightforward. Normally, the call would probably go longer. But as you can see, the appointment was successfully scheduled. You might be asking yourself, what? This is not 5 p.m. However, I'm currently in Germany, so 5 p.m. in Brisbane time is 8 a.m. my time. That's all good. And it worked. We just talked to the agent, and obviously there were a few things here and there that I did notice that need improvement. And this is exactly why we run the 100 contact test batch first. Because then we can listen back to the calls and actually identify exactly those things. And what we do then is we go back to Vapi, we look into the system prompt right here, and we check what the agent did wrong. For example, it asked me multiple questions at a time, and this is here. It should only ask one question at a time. It didn't do this, so we need to put this more specifically, like we maybe mention it more often, do something that the agent actually enforces this rule. And that's how we just improve the agent over time. But as you can see, everything worked. We checked the calendar correctly, we booked the appointment correctly, and yeah, everything worked. Now, ideally, what you would do is you would actually just turn on and publish this workflow. I won't do this because the test data I generated and imported to GHL, like there's no real people behind this. I don't want to trigger calls to those people. But if you do this, then every single day at 8 a.m., the system will activate, filter out all the contacts that are able to be called on that specific day, and then go ahead and call them. And it will do so every single day, and that means that all the contacts will be called every 90 days. And maybe one more note. You might be wondering what's happening with all the call data after the call completed. We didn't really cover this in this video, and that's okay, because I already did a video on this. You can find it on the screen right now. Go ahead and check it out. You will be amazed with what you can do with data actually. But yeah, that's it. That's your full database reactivation engine. The whole thing runs in the background. You don't need to touch it day to day. Every 90 days, you rerun the sequence and find the new wave of people whose situations have changed. And you can just upload new contacts, add the tag to them, make sure that all the required fields are there, and then they will be inputted into the system and called every 90 days. Now, if you want to take this even further, the next layer is adding a speed to lead component on top. So the same kind of voice agent is actually also calling every new inbound lead within seconds of them inquiring. I'll cover that in a separate video though. For now, if you've got a node database and you want to know what's in there, build this. It takes an afternoon to set up. The list of tools is in the description and mentioned in this video. And if you want this built and run for you with zero retainer, the link is in the description. The very first link, 2 or 3 spots are left depending on when you are watching this. You can also see the link to my resource hub in the description down below, and subscribe if you want to see more builds like this. See you in the next one. Cheers.